Hello guys, and welcome to another Dell upgrade. Here I have a Optiplex 960 and I got that in a PC lot I bought. I originally wanted to sell it, but nobody bought it. Thankfully, because I also need, now that I'm starting a business, a computer at my second location. And I thought this suits perfectly as an office PC. For me, I love those sorts of machines. They're small, compact, they're reliable, but in its current config, it would be too slow for me. It needs some upgrades. So right now, it's got a Pentium, I think E5550, which is the stock CPU, really weak nowadays. Dual core and not a high-end dual core either. Also, a terabyte hard drive, I think 54 RPM, no dedicated graphics, an integrated controller, and yeah, that is just no bueno. So this is gonna be a work computer, and I wanted it to be cheap because all it needs to basically do is do some bookkeeping, run a web browser most of the time, and that's it. Maybe right here and there a document, check some emails, really no fancy things. So I really don't need a new expensive system for that. This old Dell, which can be picked up for next to nothing, when it's upgraded, guys, yeah, it's gonna be fast, it's gonna be great. Also, I might add, my most popular video of 2020 was actually a Dell Optiplex 755 upgrade, where I did a pretty similar upgrade. So this is quite, well, not the same, it's a different form factor, smaller form factor, but I'm doing very similar things. So we will upgrade this on a budget. In total, I spent only 88 euros, about 88 euros on upgrading this. So we'll upgrade the CPU from this stock Pentium to a Core2Quad. That's an 8300, and I got that for only 15 bucks. Now the Core2Quad platform, while it is old, I think it's definitely underrated. It's still a quad core. They're dirt cheap, and you don't believe how fast those still are. Really good value chip. I definitely recommend it, especially for this socket. I think one of the best ones to get. Also, I made sure not to get the more high-end ones because those can get really expensive really fast, but those mid-range ones are just, you know, get thrown after you. So I thought it's gonna be a huge upgrade from the Pentium. It will run Windows 10 fast, and that's all that matters. It will play YouTube, and it will do all my stuff. So that's what matters to me. It doesn't need to, you know, do some high FPS games or anything. Just needs to do work. Then I'll upgrade here the RAM from 4 to 8 gigs. Quite overkill, but I just happen to have so much DDR2 RAM laying around. I thought, you know, why not just put it in there when I'm already having that. It's also not really valuable, so I might as well just put it in here and not sell it. And then also SSD on my personal work machines. I don't want hard drives anymore as boot drives. They just slow things down so much, and SSDs have gotten so cheap nowadays. I got this brand new for only 17 euros, and it's 120 gig. It's not big, but that doesn't matter because I don't need lots of space. And whoa, the big upgrade. Oh yeah, here's also this hard drive to SSD adapter, which even can fit another one in there. So that's what also something I've been looking into. When I bought this, I maybe can put in another storage disk, like a small hard drive or something if I need it. Probably not, but it's still nice to have, and this costs like 350, so it's really nothing wrong with buying this. Now the big upgrade is gonna be the graphics card. I have here this stock, what is that, Q8500 chipset, well, the onboard graphics, which nowadays are a little weak. Now, to my surprise, they still work rather well on Windows 10, but yeah, not really nice enough for me. So I got this, which is quite overkill, but I only paid 55 euros for this. I think it's a pretty good deal. A 1030 low profile. This is very important because a standard size one is not going to fit in here. And also the 1030 is one that can still operate with this weak power supply. I think this is only like a 300 watt power supply, so I don't want to, you know, put a super high-end graphics card in here that the power supply maybe couldn't handle. And this should definitely help with video playback and just speed things up quite a bit. It's a little overkill, but I saw this and I was like, you know what? I think we're gonna give it the 1030. So yeah, those are the upgrades. There's still one thing I need to purchase. That's a CMOS battery. Right now the CMOS in this is almost dead, and so it will always come up with those annoying messages. So that's something I need to look into. And we'll start with cloning the OS plus all its programs to the SSD, putting it in, see if it still works. By the way, I got asked that many times on the other Dell video, will my CPU work? Well, I don't know. I frankly don't know. You have to Google that. But I can definitely say the Core2Quads were also offered in some of those, so shouldn't be too much of an issue. And also, just make sure you update the BIOS. I have here the latest BIOS updated, so that should definitely minimize problems. When you updated the BIOS and you found somewhere on the internet that maybe your computer was shipped with such CPU or somebody has tried it and it worked, it's really not that much to be concerned about. It's not a Mac, it's a PC. It will forgive you for doing certain things. So yeah, of course I will do some before and after benchmarks. I've put here the Cinebench benchmark in here, which I will try again with the new Core2Quad, and we'll try it out a bit. So before we will upgrade this, I want to show you the inside because it's just amazing. I really love the engineering behind this design. They really did a nice job. So when you flip that back, it will just come towards you. And yes, it looks rather cramped, but guys, it's a really small computer. So yeah, I think still pretty nicely organized. Here you have the power supply, which is 235 watts. Holy shit! Wow, that's low. Just got shocked a bit here because I really thought it had 300 watt. Maybe they had different ones. Oh shit. Well, you know what? We're gonna risk it anyway. We're not gonna do some hardcore gaming on this, so it probably will not be maxed out ever. So maybe just this one time on the benchmark. So I think this power supply will survive that. Behind here is the hard disk. Here is the CPU plus its fan, and yeah, here will go the graphics card, which I hope will fit, but we'll see about all of this. And if you're worried about thermals, I wouldn't be. I'm personally not too worried because again, most of the time it's gonna do office tasks. It's just gonna be not stressed. But if you plan on doing some gaming on this, I don't know why you would. This is a really old Dell computer which was never intended to be gamed on. I don't know why you would do that. Maybe then it's a problem. It could be because it's pretty cramped, but for the stuff it's gonna do, nah, I have no concerns. And we will put it on a new thermal paste and all that, so it should be fine. So before we get into the exciting stuff, step one is gonna be cloning. So yeah, just open that up. And here is our SSD, brand new. There's really no point in buying 120 gig SSDs used anymore unless you're getting them like for a couple of bucks, because again, this cost 17 euros. new. So this has a warranty and all that. It's just crazy how times have changed. Is it probably the most reliable and best SSD? Nah. You can't compare this to like a Samsung Evo, but doesn't matter for me. So I'll use here my self-made adapter, which I ripped out of the external hard drive. SATA to USB, and then we'll go to the desktop and continue. There it is. Great. So the cloning tool I use is used to do backup free. Now there are people who like it, people who don't like it. I personally like it. It has always done the stuff I needed it to do. It's free. It's simple. For cloning, it's like simple cloning, one drive to the another. It's fine, and it also can do partition-wise cloning. So I don't get it. I mean, sure, it's not CloneZilla or some advanced tool, but let's be honest, most of the time you don't need it really. Alright, cloning was successful. Now let's shut it down and swap out the HDD for the SSD and hope everything goes well. Also, let's unbox this Bay extension from Charcone. I've never used such a adapter before. Oh, they have screws included. That's good. Pretty simple. So we have no power going through while we work on it. Now the hard drive in those Dells is beneath this plastic thing, contraption bracket thing. So you pull on here and it comes right out. And here is the HDD. Pretty neat design, comes out really easily. So we'll unplug it. Just had to look myself, it's pretty easy to take it out of this bracket. We have to push this forward and the thing will just come right out. And that's it. Not even a screw required, nothing. So just need to look how that works. Probably the same fashion. Just here, line it up on those holes. Yeah, and then put it in. Okay, now let's mount the SSD. I'll just put it here in the top slot. And I've taken here out all of those screws, which is too much. Okay, it's secured. This isn't going anywhere. And now let's just drop it into this caddy. So I found out it's the other way around. You have to set it down like this. So we'll line it up on those holes. And then there it is. By the way, down there is also the CMOS battery, as you can see. A CR2032, pretty common battery. And yeah, while we're at it, I can just remove this DVI card because it's in no use to us anymore. So let's see how that goes. We'll lift up on that. This goes to the side. And I think now all I have to do is take it out. Yeah, there it is. And now let's put it back where it belongs. Let's not make sure to crush any of those cables. There it is. Press the power button. And got a lot quieter. No hard drive messing around anymore. That's always good. Just press F1. And yeah, you get a Windows boot screen. Wow, already gone, okay. Yeah, there he goes. Sweet. Okay. So what I will do then is remove this partition here. We don't need that separate 73 gig partition. It's not really useful in this case with a small capacity. But we'll worry about that later. Now let's go on with the exciting part. CPU, RAM, and GPU. And I know maybe someone's gonna ask, is this PSU upgradable? As far as I know, no. Unfortunately not. In the bigger cases and the ATX cases, the full-size towers, no problem. You can use any ATX PSU you want, but unfortunately in those, this is like a special power supply, and there's only this available. So that kind of sucks, but yeah, it's something I also found out. Right, so the next step is going to be the big one, the CPU, and for that, yeah, we have to take it out again. But this is not a huge deal. So, yeah, CPU hides beneath this block. 2 fans, pretty cool. So, pretty decently cool, I would say. And yeah, I am personally still curious to find out if maybe the 1030 won't fit in here. But if it really doesn't fit, we can always find a solution to only mount the drive in there somewhere and without this whole contraption. But I'm trying to keep it in there because it's just airflow, nice airflow going through. So I've never removed the CPU in one of those. So in order to get more room to work, I think we have to remove the optical drive. Let's press here. Okay. This comes out like this or the other way. No, like this. Okay. Unplug that. If it lets me. There we go. Now we have pretty good access to everything. Here is the RAM. We'll do that last, so we know that the computer still works with the CPU and it's not the RAM. It's just easier to figure out what's wrong if something goes wrong. And I suppose we start with those 4 screws to get this metal out of the way. Okay, let's see what happens when I do that. Okay, I see. So we'll have to unplug the fans. Okay, finally got it out. Took me a while to figure out that you have to push those in and then they will release. But not the way you would think. You will really have to jam something in there, move it out quite a bit until it releases. So yeah, that's weird. But here is the fan contraption. Still pretty nicely done. Can be taken off as one. And look at that. In there is our central processing unit. Let's unscrew that then. So all of them came up. Let's see what happens when I take it out. Oh, that was simple. Look at that. And the remainings of what used to be thermal paste. Good enough for me, guys. Good enough. Let's take out this old Pentium. There it is, an E5550. Or no, an E6700 even. Ooh, well. So let's put that in. Okay, Q8300 is installed. Now let's get some thermal paste and put the cooler assembly back together. And thankfully I'm not sponsored by anything, so yeah. Here, read yourself. It works. What is that, Arctic? Yeah. It's almost empty at this point, so but hey, it's enough. Okay. Well, got it cleaned up a bit and good enough for me. Wasn't all that dirty to begin with. So let's put that back together. Let's line up all of this. And yeah, I think that's how it was. So let's screw it down in an X pattern as always. Fans, go back in right now. Let's connect those weird connections first. But hey, if a connector is the worst thing on a computer to deal with, then I'd say it's a pretty nice engineered machine. Here we go. Secure it again with the 4 screws. They could have only used 2 as well, but they didn't cheap out. Also, they didn't use some crappy plastic for this either. So, well-built machine. That's what you get a lot with business machines. They're usually built pretty tough and better quality than the cheaper ones. We are ready to fire it up. I'll not connect the hard drive now because all we want is go into the BIOS and see if it recognizes it. And if it does, we continue with our upgrade. If not, then I'm a little disappointed. See if it powers on. Already saw it there for a second. Try again. Okay. Hope I hit the right button. So it's going to set up utility. The computer works, so I'm very positive at this point. If it didn't boot or post, I think this wouldn't have gotten so far. And unfortunately, this touchpad doesn't work with the BIOS. But there we go. Core2Quad 8300, 2.5 gigahertz. Sweet. Upgrade number 1, check. Works. Yeah. So yeah, this worked beautifully. Let's turn it off again. And next up, well, we have so nice access. Let's do RAM now. So I have here 2 times 2 gigabytes, so in total we'll have 8 gigabytes. That's definitely a lot for this system. But once again, I had this laying around, and why not use it? You can never have enough RAM. At least when you use Chrome, which I don't, and you shouldn't either, but who am I to say? Okay, now it went in. One is installed. Move you a little closer for the second one, but it's not all that interesting. It's just the RAM install. And this cable is in a really weird position there. Let's move that in the middle there. It's much better this way. Okay, we got it all secured. Let's see if once again it posts. I should have really bought that CMOS battery today. That's a little annoying now. Every time waiting around. 8 gigabytes, check that out. I don't know if you see an Optiplex 960 with 8 gigabytes like that often, probably not. So yeah, that's pretty hardcore really. So, pretty good. Yes, I could do a RAM test and all of that, but I know this RAM is good, so yeah, that is working good too. I think now it's a good time to put back that optical drive, which can be a little finicky. So yeah, let's do that. I've also seen people swapping these out for SSDs and leaving the stock hard drive. That's of course also a way you can do it. Holy shit! What? Oh no! Well, we'll have to pick that up, I guess. Wow! Perfect! First try! So, now is the moment we've all been waiting for. 10:30. Let's see if that goes in here. I don't know if it does, but I'm positive. So let's see. Let's check it out. It isn't all that big. I hope this fan doesn't make too much of a racket, but I suppose if it's not under load at all, should be good. Maybe I could change the thermal paste, but you know what? Let's try it this way first. So let's open that thing here again. I'll move you a little closer. CMOS is of course not accessible once this is in, but not a big deal. That was the same on the other Dell. Let's get that out of the way. Ooh, that's close. It's really close. Hey! Wow, look at that! That is looking pretty good. You could even still put a card here. Alright. Yes! Okay. It's even decently secure. And I can probably get the CMOS out without removing that, but if I had to remove that, well, no biggie. Okay, well, from the looks, no problemo. Let's put that big SSD bracket thing in. And see, oh yeah, it's looking pretty good. Hopefully I'm not wrong. Wow. Okay, yeah, that's pretty close. Wow. Wow. Oh boy. Not liking that at all. You know why? Because this fan is like directly against the plastic, and once this is even closed up, ooh, not good. There's no way there can be air through here. Not liking that, guys. This is like a absolute guarantee for overheat if you do that under load. Now this is certainly not ideal. So got it up for testing. Now I ran into another problem. My usual testing monitor here, that's only VGA, and the 1030 only has a display port and HDMI output, so I'm using here that monitor, but I also have that one plugged in to a HDMI to VGA adapter, so I hope all that works. That is the monitor I will use anyway at the site B or company, or however you say it. Okay, turn on that machine. I'm not really happy about that cooling solution at all, because that is no cooling solution, that is just heating it up solution. So I've removed the Pentium sticker because that is no longer the case. Let's see if it boots into Windows and if it finds a driver. I kind of had a hard time finding a driver on the NVIDIA website for this graphics card, I don't know why. But the GPU fan appears to be really silent. That is pretty cool, I'd say. Didn't expect that, but right now it's not doing anything, so yeah. Well, this is what I want to see. Core2Quad, Q8300, 8 GB of RAM, and soon also showing up the GT1030. So let's look here for new hardware and update the graphics driver. If it doesn't, okay, it doesn't find it here, yeah. Let's update Windows. It most definitely will find it there. If it still doesn't find it, then I will have to track it down manually. HP, oh, my printer has an update. Oh, that isn't that awesome. Well, it's not what I want to find out here. Okay, it already found it. So, just needed to run the update again. So guys, it found a new version of the driver now, which, yeah, is fine for me. So I will leave this open for now because, as I expected, this piece of plastic is just blocking this poor fan, and it gets really hot, like even doing nothing at all. So that's pretty a bummer. So while this is benchmarking, I will leave it open like this, but I won't leave it like that. I will cut out this section, this middle section of that plastic, just to give it passage like through there. So if it passes through there, it's fine, I think. So I can't wait to see how well the Core2Quad will do in the Cinebench R23 and how the 1030 will do in Heaven benchmark. And I think it's gonna be a really nice result, especially for the price we paid. Considering I paid like $8 for this computer is like crazy, but the upgrade parts and all that, I think we're at around $100. I mean, really. Okay, I'm now gonna do the Heaven basic benchmark with our GT 1030, and considering, you know, this being a cheaper card when it was new and had rivals like the higher end 1070 and such, you of course can't expect like a super awesome performance, but look at that. I mean, yes, it's the basic one, but I'd say that's definitely more than enough, like more than enough for what this will ever do. So yeah, I basically only put that dedicated GPU in here just to help it out with video playback. That's really all that matters to me. And I'm sure there are cheaper options, maybe like a 750 something, but I just happened to get this 1030 for such a good deal. It was a low profile card, it had the original box, and the guy didn't live far from where I am. And so I was like, you know what, this is perfect. And also it's still supported on Windows 10, so not unlike other older GPUs we have to like modify the driver and so that it works properly. Here it's gonna work, continue to work. So yeah, I'd say pretty good. So we're right now at 68 degrees on the GPU, which, yeah, again, it is fine. That's something I can deal with. And I'm sure this temperature would shoot up if we had the computer together with the plastic blocking the fan and all that. So yeah, we'll take care of that later. So, and here are our results. Pretty cool. So currently it's doing the extreme benchmark, and yeah, of course we get some stuttering, but I really expected worse. I mean, look at it. This is not too bad for the extreme preset here. And yeah, temperature never went above 70 on the previous benchmark. Let's see how it does on that one. And yeah, I'd still say this is pretty respectable. Can't complain at all. And here are the results on the preset extreme. Still pretty respectable, I'd say. Okay guys, update on the Dell. I have improved, or might I even say fixed, the airflow problem with the graphics card. I mean, this was just a disaster. It was just no airflow at all. It would have killed the GPU at some point. And so I went ahead and I cut out this center piece of this tray, as you can see here. And that, well, it's not a huge gap, a huge hole, but here is some space for the air to pass through, and the fan is right next to it. So I think, from my theory, this will just blow in there, and then the hot air will get blown out by that fan, and it will go out the back. I'm glad that I could keep that piece in there. Well, not all is fine just yet. We got this nasty noise here from the fan blade hitting the plastic, so I think I have to sand down this edge here a bit because that's sticking out and that's what's hitting the fan. So as you can see, this is how tight all of this is. Before, when this was still one piece, it barely cleared it, so, but that's not a big deal. I will file that down, sand it down, and it should be gone. So, and that concludes our upgrade on this Dell. I also now picked up a keyboard here for $5 because I need a keyboard at the shop too. So I've used it a little bit. I have watched some YouTube videos and well, I've just done some work in the Google Drive. So I think this computer is now more than powerful enough for the tasks it will do. Most of the time I will just look up some guides, write some documents, go into my bookkeeping program and all that. And here and there I will also watch some YouTube videos, probably some tutorials and whatnot. But as you can see, I've here this video plays it absolutely smooth. No problem at all. These 8 GB of RAM are really overkill. I could probably open up a couple of programs and not care too much about that. And also the CPU is not being stressed out with Windows 10 and this video playback. Let's bump it up to 1080p. I mean, there's really no reason to do it on that monitor, but let's just see if it can do it. And yes, it can. As you can see, smooth playback. This is 60 FPS, so even more than the camera records. And yeah, as you can see, this old Core2Quad, I think I didn't promise too much. It's such a great value considering the price I paid for this. The performance you're gaining, it's just incredible. I think the reason why they're so super cheap is that there's just such an old platform. The LGA 775 socket is really old nowadays, and DDR2 RAM and all that. But does it really matter? I mean, look at it. It plays through 1080p fine. Let's see if it can even do 4K. And the 1030 of course helps out big time. So look at that, 4K playback. It's just not breaking a sweat. Well, that's something I didn't expect, honestly. I didn't expect that we can do 4K playback. So this 1030, the Core2Quad, and 8 GB of RAM and SSD, I think that really transformed this from a slow and crappy, outdated computer to a absolutely usable computer, which is now even way too fast for my stuff. But you know what? You can never have too fast systems, so what do I care? So I hope you found this video interesting. I can definitely recommend you this configuration. You can rebuild this computer as is for I think around $120, $150 at the most. And so you don't even have to put in 8 GB of RAM. It's just I had this RAM and so I put it in. But I think 4 gigs is sufficient, or 6 gigs. But yeah, this 1030, man, transforms this computer absolutely. So yeah, thank you for watching, and see you later, guys.